It's a competition. Like, you've got to take as much feedback as possible on board, even if it's not your own.
Hey guys, Andrew here from CheepJokes. We're here with Dannii and Tim from LEGO Masters Season 2. Welcome guys.
Thank you.
So we're 3 episodes down. How did you find the first 2 builds?
I've been loving it. Our first build was kind of finding our feet, and then the second one was just pure fun because who doesn't blow up Lego? It's awesome.
And you did this amazing squid in kind of a space scene. What element did you get?
So we got slime for our explosive, which straight off the bat, I'm like, that has to be monster guts or something. Like, there is no other way you can go about that. It needs to be something crazy. So we sort of just took it to the next level, I guess, because we got the retro spaceman, so we tried to make it as like retro as possible and just blow that to heck.
When I think of slime, I think it's kind of thick. I don't see it as like a big splattery thing. Was there any concern around that?
No, we weren't too worried about that. We knew it was going to be explosions. No matter what, it was going to be going out everywhere, whether it was thick or not. If it was thick, it'd probably look better, but being as watered down as it seemed, I don't think it really added or took away from what we did.
So I want to talk to you about the fairy tale challenge. So you did Jack and the Beanstalk, but there was also another team doing Jack and the Beanstalk. So what was the conversation there between the teams?
So with the fairy tale stuff, to make sure that we weren't overlapping too much, it was pretty much like first in, first served. There was allowed for 2 teams to do the same idea, and then from that point onwards, you'd have to pick a different one. So if 2 people decided to do Little Red Riding Hood and the third team decided they wanted in on that, too bad, too slow.
Yeah, right.
So it's sort of like, you come up with your idea, come up and say, this is definitely what we want to go with, and then you lock it in and hope that it hasn't been taken already.
When I think of Jack and the Beanstalk, I think of the Beanstalk. You guys didn't go with that approach.
No,
Which was my issue of a lot of our building, because the composition just didn't feel right.
With avoiding the Beanstalk side of things, it was almost like a blessing in disguise, because the last thing you want is 2 builds that are so similar that you really have to point out the big flaws between them. So
because it'll come down to you 2.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like, so with us taking a different part of the story, like, it was a bit riskier on our part to do the actual giant's home, but we felt like it was going to be the better choice rather than sit there and be compared by going, okay, that Beanstalk looks slightly better than that Beanstalk, but that giant's better than that giant. So it really helped separate the 2, because, like, let's say, you know, you do Hansel and Gretel and you've got 2 gingerbread houses. They're going to be compared so much that it would get into your head a little bit as well.
Yeah, right. And being parents, what's your favourite fairy tale?
I have to probably say Rapunzel, but I'm a bit biased because our wedding was kind of themed around Rapunzel a little bit. So,
Really? So
yeah.
another team took the Rapunzel. Was that tempting?
We did originally debate whether we should go for Rapunzel's tower or we should go for the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk. And one of the concerns that I had with Rapunzel's tower was that you have to nail the tower and you have to nail the hair. If you don't get either one of those things right, you've completely ruined the image. Whereas inside the giant's home, there's lots of ways to make that comedic and fun and really extrapolate on that sort of side of the giant. And in the end, we went towards the giant, and when it came around towards that sort of judging point, the thing that the guys did with Rapunzel's tower, they were really criticised on the tower and really criticised on the hair. There's a few very good points made by Brickman that, like, this could have been done differently, this could have been done differently, and it really sort of shows how critical it is to nail that huge story element.
So did you have that kind of light bulb moment that the key part of the fairy tale is what needs to be the best part of the build, Rapunzel's hair, for example?
One of the things we learnt very early on is that there needs to be a clear focus. There needs to be one thing that really sticks out. And there are those things in each one of those stories. There's one element of it that really needs to be the icing on the cake. And if you miss that by any means necessary, it just gets, the whole thing gets ripped out from underneath you. For us, like, the giant sleeping was a huge central focus, and it took a lot of effort to try and get that sort of shaping and the look of the giant and everything like that. But if it wasn't done right, or if it was done, you know, only half right, it would have just destroyed the whole build.
Yeah, you had a subtle but very important piece of the build being the minifig on the table.
Yeah.
Did the build develop around the minifig for scale?
She developed around our giant. Our giant set the scale, because everything had to be a home made for the giant. In the end, it doesn't matter about the ratio between human and giant, because as long as the giant's bigger, that's all that was important. So in the end, like when I started my wall, it wasn't going to be tall enough, and we had to restructure it completely because the giant ended up being a lot bigger than first thought.
And any logistical issues with the giant balancing on the chair, or?
There was a lot of counterweighting issues and really trying to get that sort of slumped look of the giant asleep on the chair, which I'd honestly never tried before with like humanoids and stuff like that. A huge amount of my time ended up going into that giant, a little bit more than probably necessary, but it had to be done.
One of the questions is, where did you waste most of the time? Would it be the giant?
I wouldn't say that the time on the giant was wasted, but there were a few things where it came to like the furniture around the rest of the house and the actual chair that probably I spent a little bit too much time on that didn't end up getting seen.
Yeah.
But the giant, I feel like for what we produced in that time frame, I love it. Like, it was one of the proudest things that I've made on the show so far. But like there was this whole detailing on the back of the chair that was just not seen.
Any illegal techniques that you used?
Tim is very big on being a Lego purist to make sure everything's by the book. If I don't have something clicked together or something slightly off start or not secured, I get told off big time. So we make sure everything is completely by the book.
About halfway through the challenge, Brickman came by for a second time and he said it had to be more Dannii.
Yeah.
What's going through your head?
I mean, he's not wrong. We have this like motto with us, which is called no side quests, which is basically you've got your main focus, your main goal. Try not to get caught up on the things on the side because you're never actually going to complete the main goal. And there was a lot of elements that we were going, oh yeah, we could add these in if we have the time. And that visit from Brickman basically said, your ideas that you've got there for all these other elements are worth making it, well, it's called the main quest.
And what is Dannii?
So Dannii is...
Let's get Dannii to answer this one.
So what is my style? I like to think of it as whimsical, something that isn't impossible but unexpected, I suppose, or just fun and magical. So for our Jack and the Beanstalk build specifically, I had the big speech bubble of the sleeping noises, and I even created colourful musical notes for our harp to show it was playing. So it was almost creating details for things you wouldn't usually see, just to make that a little bit more like a storybook, I suppose, because it is a fairy tale.
So we saw our first elimination tonight. How did that feel, seeing one of these people that you've got to know over the past few weeks have to leave?
I cried. I didn't realise I'd be so emotionally involved, and you know, everyone on the show, we bonded a lot. We've done a lot of dinners together, a lot of in-jokes. We're just all great friends. So knowing that two of our friends aren't going to be with us anymore, it was just emotional.
Yeah, it was the moment that you realise that it's not all fun. It's here for a competition as well. And it's very important that we try and very much stick with that mentality that it is still fun and we need to celebrate the time that we've got here because it is very much limited.
What do you think they could have done to last this round?
I think it was just their idea choice that got them, because Little Mermaid is really hard to convey because we all have the same model of Little Mermaid in our head from Disney, and of course we can't use the red head that we all know. So having to pick a scene that conveys Little Mermaid without treading on Disney's IP, it was really, really tricky. Their build, they did try to get that story where the mermaid are resting on the docks and you've got the prince on the beach. But because there was that forced perspective and it really puts the prince out of view, you have to look at it more to get the story.
Right.
So it takes away that clear focus.
So you've taken some learnings from their experience to help keep you in the
absolutely.
competition moving forward?
Yeah, it's a competition. Like, you've got to take as much feedback as possible on board, even if it's not your own. Like, there is so many things that we learned just from overhearing Brickman's visits to some of the other tables as well. You've just got to really be aware of composition, makeup, how all these things come together.
A couple of things have stuck to me. He said the obvious idea is usually the right idea, and build like it's a 2-hour challenge. I think those have been really helpful tips that have just come out of nowhere, not even directed at us. So that's something I'm keeping in mind.
Your tables are quite close together. You can hear the conversations that are happening on the other tables. You can see what other people are doing. Have you, I won't say stolen, have you gained any inspiration from other teams on their building techniques that you've been able to use?
I wouldn't say that there would be any form of like stealing or anything like that, but everybody in the pits and running around, everybody wants everyone else to do their best. And you'd be surprised how much that we're actually talking to each other and giving each other feedback or tips, or if someone gets stuck, how would I do this? Well, this is how I would do it. You'd be really surprised about how supportive everybody else is. It's really starting just to set in that it is a competition, but no, there is no malice anywhere at all. Everyone is wanting to be friends. Everybody wants everyone to do their best ability. And whoever gets to that right end point and gets that final prize.
Who do you see going all the way to the end?
Oh,
Alex and Jackson.
Outside of
they're
yourself.
Yeah.
That's our pick, Alex and Jackson. They probably work the hardest out of everyone.
Right.
They're training every single day, I'm sure. And they pull out a lot of techniques every week that we haven't seen before. So that your pick as well, yeah?
Yeah, look,
Yeah?
if I had to pick a top three, that's not including us, I'd say Alex and Jackson. Damien and Andrew have this different way of going about a lot of problems that it really gives them that bit of an edge. And Jay and Dannii, definitely as well. They've just really set themselves on as really technical guys and being able to really build big and dedicate to an idea. So they would be what I would say would be the top three.
Yeah.
But out of those, Alex and Jackson definitely would be up there. They're one of those people that really feed into other people's energy and give everybody lots of tips and tricks. So they've definitely got that huge fund of knowledge just backed away.
All right, well, thanks. Good luck going forward in the next challenges, and we hope to see you towards the end. Thanks.